What's up, everybody? Welcome to Mystics MMOs. I'm your host, Mystic Raven. Alright, so I'm kind of playing with an idea with the upcoming changes to the Waking Flame DLC and all these changes that are going to be occurring. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to actually, for one time, kind of steal an idea from the meta players, but not in the traditional sense. So a lot of players like to use the Maelstrom staff. And, for light attacks, it's good. Right? I personally always like to keep statics. Why? Because of weapon swaps, and then I use the different configurations and builds. And so I haven't gone back to the dagger or dual wield thing. I haven't done that until I realized something. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm a dot build, right? DKs are typically known for dots. And, Burning Spell Weave, no, I still have to do everything. Is typically, I'm trying the Lightning Staff, but I'm also going to get the Inferno because I also have another plan. But, Burning Spellweave is typically a great set. Why? Because the burning status effects apply to the enemy. You get this. There's a 4-second lapse of the downtime. That's one of the offsets. One of the really cool new sets is also in Kratos Behemoths. Usually a tank will wear this, but, there will be a different setup when I put out the build after the Waking Flames drop. But, if you're not quite sure if a tank has it, it's really good for 4-mans on the DK because you deal flame damage. And this increases the flame damage capabilities. But instead of using the Maelstrom staff, what I've decided to do is use the Maelstrom daggers. Because, let me show you guys this. When you deal damage with Flurry, your single target damage over time abilities used within 4 seconds gain 1690 spell and weapon damage. Now, at first, you don't think that's a huge deal, but it actually is because it's all of your damage over time abilities. Every dot you apply, even your wall, that's why I'm going to try the Flame Staff as well, is affected by this. It's like any damage over time is going to get affected by this, right? And of course, we know we're going to have weapon spell scaling to the Fighters Guild passives. So I'll be, of course, using ability like Camouflage Hunter and Barb Trap on a primary bar between whatever. Now, I'm still playing with the configuration because I know I'm going to get 6% spell damage. Right? So Medusa's is kind of out the window. It's unfortunately, no one's going to give up a 3% spell damage gain. It's just not going to happen. It's just not. Okay? And 1690, you can stack as many sets as you want. You're not going to get 1690. Now, case in point, currently without any proc, just on tooltip, now mind you, my build's not done. I've got to reconfigure quite a number of things. So this isn't even close to what I'll be getting. I'll be getting well over 20 on the tooltip here when I'm finalized. But currently it's at 10,554. Now, if I add the major sorcery buff, right, then I'll get 11,500. Okay? So we'll try this on the other target without the buffs. And I'm going to show you guys this, and then we'll go back here and show you what, the minor intellect and everything will give us. Okay, so I'm like, okay. That's kind of cool. But now if we proc the Burning Spell Weave, and we go back into the tooltip, now we're at 12,500. Okay, that's with Major Sorcery and Burning Spell Weave effect. Okay, we're at 12,500. Alright, so we'll let everything drop down. Okay. And dots are really good to keep up the uptime. The DK, the Mag DK holds Burning Spell Weave proc time the highest in the game because it's fire-based dots. Okay, so Now we're going to add our little jabby majabs, right? And watch the spike on this. Okay, so we got this. Apply. Go back in. Now we're up to 16.8. 16.8! That's without the minor intellect or anything, right? That's just with major sorcery. Without me even perfecting this spell, I'll get well over 20. Well over, about 21 by the time I'm done. I'm like, whoa. So that's quite a bit. That amount of dots is going to supersede the benefit from the Malestrom staff weave. It's going to supersede it. It's going to completely supersede. So when I drop down, I'm back at 10. That's 6,000. That's freaking 6,000 on one ability. On one. I'm like, that is nuts. That is insane. I'm like, So. Now when we go back in, now we're at 19.3, and I'm not even done with the build. That's with the minor intellect and the major sorcery, the minor sorcery and the major sorcery. Sorry, not intellect. The minor sorcery and the major sorcery from the Templar. So 19.3, right, on scale. Now, another thing that I'm going to decide to do is change to the food type in this type of configuration due to sustain purposes, because I'm better off scaling my spell damage accordingly based on the new parameters. And this is what is insane. This is what is nuts. Now, ideally, I was thinking lightning staff because the AoE damage, but I'm thinking of actually switching to the flame staff, putting the single targets on this, because the daggers, I can put the AoEs to the back bar, thus getting the flame wall, which would typically deal, because it's an AoE. But given the fact that we're getting the bonus from the monster helm, and it's another flame damage, and we're getting an extra 10% towards flame-based abilities, we'll deal more damage on the flame staff. So we'll have the Burning Spell Weave Flame Staff with single targets, with the exception of the wall to that bar. And then on top of it, the AoEs will go to the back bar, like because you can just pop off with the Burning Talons, because that 4 seconds is going to get really fucking hot. And of course, Volatile Armor, a nice magic damage over time. The Molten Armaments will give us our major brutality in our major sorcery, plus increase our heavy attacks. And then, of course, we'll put, fire-based ultis and things like that, and then I'll reconfigure. But yeah, no, it's nuts. It's going to be insanely awesome, insanely nuts. We're taking some pages out of the meta's dagger or bested slot, and redesigning it to benefit the application of the dot configuration. This is what I like. This is what I'm totally into. I wanted to give a preview because it's like, at first I was kind of like other people, kind of like, maybe I'll put on the Malestrom staff, and then I was like, whoa, time out, Mystic. Time out. 1690 spell damage? You would be insane to pass that up. You would be insane to do it. It makes sure you're going to perfect it's getting, additional weapon damage, which helps for the spammable, because we're going to be using, the barb trap. We're going to be using the flurry, and we'll get the morph. So these two factors are, a contributing factor to the extra weapon damage. Plus, the bleed effect will scale, because that's a dot, to the Maelstrom dual wield as well. So I was like, this is nuts. This is nutsy nutsy. So yeah. So this build definitely is going to be great. Plus, I'll have a nice amount of crit when I'm said and done. I'll be at a 67.1 on the critical modifier without kilt or slime crawl. And then if a tank has it, it'll just get magnified. So yeah. We'll be really good to go. It'll be amazing. Simply amazing. Because I'm taking what ZOS is implementing and running the best of both worlds with these new configurations to get the most out of the DK, the mag DK. And I think a lot of times within, mag DK hasn't gotten a lot of love with configurations for a long time, because a lot of people don't like dot builds. They want more direct damage, and it's because of that the appreciation for dot application during phases that a lot of players don't appreciate, because it's not as bursty, so the direct damage or the reflected damage isn't apparent. But this is where I think the DK is going to get a lot more love down with this new changes and how dot implications are going to be moving forward. So I think the mag DK with these upcoming changes is going to look pretty good in that application, and especially now the fact that we can use something like the Maelstrom daggers to increase the dot magnification. Now, can other classes take advantage of the Maelstrom daggers? Absolutely. Anything dot oriented, like just, you wouldn't use Burning Soul Leaf, obviously, but anything dot oriented, like the Mage Blade has a lot of heavy dots. The sword wouldn't benefit as much because it doesn't have a lot of dots that are totally within its toolkit, as much as like the Nightblade or the DK. So any class that has high end dots would benefit. Now I think Magplar wouldn't use it as well because it uses jabs. So to try to get spam 2 spammables, I mean, it does have dots in its toolkit, but you would have to give up that spammable. So it kind of makes it questionable. But Wardens, the Shocks isn't considered a dot, but the facts like Fletcher Flies and orbs, if you use orbs or anything like that, those are damage over time effects. So a lot of anything that has a heavy damage over time could benefit from the Maelstrom daggers, and I just foresee a lot of classes stepping away from the Maelstrom staff to take advantage of that beautiful, juicy just daggers. So just why? Because the scale factor. So as always, I want to thank you guys. I'm Mr. Craven. This is Mystics MMOs. Beat it to the punch. Have a nice day.